Picture this. You're in a country where more than 1 billion people can't freely express their opinions online. Now let's dive into the paradoxical world of freedom of speech in China. Freedom of speech, a right we often take for granted, is significantly limited in China, especially when it comes to online platforms. The Chinese government has established a tight grip over the media, shaping narratives and controlling the dissemination of information. Imagine a place where commenting about the weather could be seen as a subversive act if it's interpreted to have political undertones. This is the reality of living under the shadow of the Great Firewall, a term used to describe the government's internet censorship system. It's not just about blocking Western social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. It's about controlling what can be said and discussed within China's own digital landscape. In this realm, dissent is not welcomed. Citizens voicing criticisms of the government or advocating for democratic reforms often find themselves silenced, or, in extreme cases, facing legal repercussions. This kind of censorship doesn't just limit political discourse, it also impacts access to information. Let's say there's a public health crisis or a natural disaster. The government's control over the media can affect the flow of crucial information, potentially putting lives at risk. It could also prevent citizens from holding their government accountable for its actions or inactions. But the paradox is this. Despite these restrictions, Chinese internet users have found creative ways to circumvent censorship. They use coded language, memes, and even ancient poetry to voice their opinions and share information. This game of cat and mouse shows the human desire for freedom of speech, even in the face of formidable obstacles. In the land of the Great Firewall, free speech is more of an illusion than a reality. But the people's resilience in seeking and sharing truth, their creativity in overcoming barriers, remind us of the power and importance of this fundamental right. It's a paradox, indeed, a testament to both the control of the state and the indomitable spirit of its citizens. Imagine a society where your marital status can become a public spectacle. Welcome to Shanghai, where the marriage market is not just a metaphor. In People's Park, every weekend, parents, grandparents, and matchmakers come together with one goal: to find a suitable match for their unwed children or grandchildren. In the heart of this bustling city, umbrellas bloom like a peculiar garden. Each umbrella carries a sheet of paper, a resume of sorts, detailing the age, height, job, income, and education of the single individual it represents. It's a unique spectacle, a stark contrast to the skyscrapers and modernity that surround it, a testament to the immense pressure young Chinese individuals face to get married and settle down. This is a society where the leftover women stigma still holds strong. Women over the age of 27 who are unmarried are labeled shengnu, which translates to leftover women. It's a term that carries a heavy societal burden, a mark of personal failure against traditional expectations. But it's not just the women who feel the heat. Men, too, are under immense pressure, especially those from rural areas. The disparity between the urban and rural population has led to a phenomenon called bare branches, referring to men who are unable to find wives due to a shortage of women in their communities. This societal pressure cooker doesn't just stop at marriage. Once married, couples are expected to have children, further perpetuating the cycle. The consequences of not meeting these societal expectations can be severe, leading to isolation, depression, and in some cases, ostracization. Yet, in the face of these societal pressures, there are those who choose to defy the norm. They are challenging the status quo and breaking free from the shackles of societal expectations. They are the trailblazers, the ones who dare to choose personal happiness over societal norms. In China, the ticking societal clock resonates louder than personal choice. But remember, every tick of the clock is a step forward, a step toward societal change, and hopefully, a future where the pressure cooker finally cools down. Ever heard of a work schedule that goes from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week? Welcome to the world of 996, a work culture prevalent in China, especially in the tech industry. It's a grinding timetable that sees workers clocking in 72 hours a week, sacrificing their personal lives and health for the economic race. The 996 culture, named for its grueling 9 to 9, 6 days a week schedule, has become a hot topic, sparking debates about work-life balance and employee rights. Imagine this. After a long day of work, you barely have time to eat dinner before it's time to sleep and start all over again. The impact on employees' health is undeniable. Stress, burnout, and even cases of sudden death have been reported. Yet, many companies continue to endorse this culture, arguing that it's necessary for survival in the intensely competitive market. In the race for economic supremacy, the personal lives of many Chinese workers are caught in the crossfire. Would you dare to eat, knowing that your food might be fake or unsafe? This isn't just a rhetorical question. It's a real dilemma for many people in China, where food safety and counterfeit products have become persistent issues. Remember the milk scandal of 2008? When melamine-laced infant formula led to the deaths of 6 infants and illnesses in about 300,000 others? That was a wake-up call for the nation. But it wasn't the end. From gutter oil being reused in street food stalls to fake eggs made of resin, these are not urban legends, but grim realities of the Chinese food industry. Then there are counterfeit products, from fake luxury goods to counterfeit electronics, affecting not just the economy, but also consumer trust. Why does this happen? Lack of regulation, corruption, and the lure of quick money. Despite the government's efforts to crack down on these practices, the problem persists. It's a cat and mouse game. But here's the silver lining. Public awareness is growing. People are becoming more discerning, demanding accountability, and promoting transparency. Technology, too, is playing a part. Blockchain, for instance, is being used to trace the journey of food from farm to fork, ensuring authenticity and safety. In the world's most populous country, food safety remains a game of Russian roulette. But with every scandal, every expose, every step towards accountability, we move closer to tipping the odds in favor of the consumer. And that's a battle worth fighting. What if your beliefs were seen as a threat to the state? That's a reality for many in China, where cultural and religious freedoms are not always a given. Now let's be clear. China is a vast country with an incredibly rich tapestry of cultures and faiths. From the Buddhists in Tibet to the Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang, from the Christians in the cities to the Falun Gong practitioners, diversity is not in short supply. But here's the twist. While China officially recognizes 5 religions, there's a catch. They all operate under the watchful eye of the state. This oversight can and has led to instances of repression and discrimination, particularly for ethnic minorities, who often find their cultural and religious practices under scrutiny. Case in point, the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Reports of re-education camps and forced assimilation have raised serious human rights concerns. But it's not just about religion. Even non-religious cultural practices can be a tightrope walk. traditional customs, languages, even ways of life can be seen as a threat if they stray too far from the state-sanctioned norm. So, in China, cultural diversity often walks a tightrope between celebration and suppression. It's a delicate balance where the vibrancy and richness of diverse cultures exist, but not without a shadow of state control. The question remains, can there be true cultural freedom when it is always under the watchful eye of Big Brother? In China, cultural diversity often walks a tightrope between celebration and suppression. Chinese cuisine is famous worldwide, but some dishes might make you think twice. From the exotic to the extreme, the food scene in China is as diverse as it is surprising. Delicacies like bird's nest soup, shark fin, and sea cucumber are not just unusual to the Western palate, they also raise concerns for animal welfare and sustainability. Further, some traditional Chinese foods, like the notorious century egg, can seem daunting for the uninitiated. And while they may be steeped in centuries of culinary tradition, they can also pose health risks if not prepared correctly. Moreover, the use of MSG and high sodium content in some dishes can lead to health issues like high blood pressure and heart disease. On the other hand, Chinese cuisine also offers a plethora of healthy options, with its emphasis on fresh vegetables, lean meats, and balanced flavors. While Chinese cuisine offers a culinary adventure, it also serves a reminder of health and ethical considerations. In a country with over 1 billion people, the gap between the rich and the poor is hard to ignore. This discrepancy isn't just about money. It's about access to quality education, healthcare, and opportunities. The divide is particularly stark when comparing urban and rural areas. In cities, skyscrapers and luxury cars paint a picture of wealth, while in the countryside, rudimentary housing and a lack of basic utilities show a different story. Now let's talk about overpopulation. With a population exceeding 1 billion, China is the world's most populous country. This brings about challenges such as resource scarcity and environmental degradation. The government has attempted to control population growth with policies such as the infamous one-child policy, but these have had their own social repercussions. Furthermore, the Hukou System, a household registration policy, restricts rural dwellers from moving to urban areas, exacerbating inequalities. It's a catch-22 situation. People can't move to cities for better opportunities because they lack the hukou, and they can't get the hukou without secure employment in the city. The social inequality and overpopulation issues are intertwined, creating a cycle that's hard to break. This isn't just a China problem. It's a global issue that needs addressing, but it's particularly pronounced in China due to its sheer size and rapid development. The Chinese dream, it seems, is not accessible to all. Once known for its ancient architecture, Beijing is now a symbol of rapid urbanization. The city's transformation from a place of time-honored traditions to a hub of modernization is nothing short of remarkable. The old and the new coexist, making Beijing a city of contrasts. The city's skyline, once dominated by imperial palaces, temples, and hutongs, is now punctuated by towering skyscrapers and sprawling shopping malls. This change didn't happen overnight. It's a product of decades of urban planning, economic shifts, and a desire to compete on the global stage. But this transformation has its costs. The city's rapid modernization has led to the displacement of residents, the destruction of historical neighborhoods, and a shift in cultural identity. The challenge for Beijing now is finding a balance between preserving its historical heritage and continuing its stride towards modernity. In the face of progress, Beijing's historical heritage struggles to hold its ground. In China, cities built for millions stand eerily empty. An architectural symphony of towering skyscrapers, sprawling residential complexes, and state-of-the-art facilities, all seemingly abandoned. This is the phenomenon of China's ghost cities, a byproduct of the country's real estate boom. For years, China has been on a breakneck path to urbanization, erecting cities at an unprecedented rate. Fueled by the belief that if you build it, they will come. These cities were designed to accommodate millions of residents. But often, the residents didn't come. The result? Vast urban landscapes, eerily devoid of life. The economic implications of this trend are significant. These empty cities represent a massive investment of resources, both financial and material. Yet, without the population to support them, they are not generating the expected return. This has led to concerns about the sustainability of China's real estate boom and what it could mean for the country's economy in the future. In the race to urbanize, China has created modern-day ghost towns. Imagine a system where your birthplace determines your rights and opportunities. Welcome to China's Hukou System. This household registration policy, implemented in the late 1950s, effectively controls population distribution and mobility. It's a passport-like system that designates every citizen as either a rural or urban dweller, based on their birthplace. This system has far-reaching implications. For instance, public services like healthcare and education are tied to one's hukou, creating a significant disparity in opportunities and resources between rural and urban citizens. It's like a tale of two Chinas, one privileged, the other struggling. Regrettably, the Hukou system has been a significant contributor to social inequality, exacerbating the urban-rural divide. Efforts to reform this system have been slow, and the implications continue to be felt by millions of Chinese citizens, particularly those from rural areas who migrate to cities in search of better opportunities. In China, your birthplace can either open doors or create barriers. How would you feel living in a city where you can't see the sky? As China's economy powers ahead, so does its environmental footprint. The clash between development and conservation is stark. Cities choked by smog, rivers tainted with industrial waste, and traffic that's more of a standstill than a flow. The dragon roars, but at what cost? This is the paradox of progress, a conundrum that China, like many nations, wrestles with. In the pursuit of development, China grapples with the cost of environmental degradation. In a country of over 1 billion, healthcare is a monumental challenge. China's healthcare system groans under the immense pressure of its vast population. Couple that with an aging society, and you have a recipe for overworked health services. Doctors, nurses, and medical staff are stretched thin, working tirelessly to provide care. But despite the Herculean effort, the demand often outstrips the supply. In the world's most populous country, healthcare is an uphill battle. Imagine being watched and tracked every moment of your life. Welcome to the reality of many Chinese citizens. The government's extensive surveillance system, with cameras on every corner and advanced facial recognition technology, has created a state where privacy is a mirage. It's a trade-off, with the government arguing that this level of surveillance is necessary to maintain state security. But it raises crucial questions about personal privacy and freedom. In China, privacy often takes a back seat to state security. What if your internet was a walled garden controlled by the state. Imagine a digital landscape where major foreign tech platforms are absent, replaced by homegrown alternatives. In China, this is reality. The government exercises tight control over the internet and technology, fostering an environment of cyber sovereignty. This cyber realm is less about global connections and more about national narratives. The absence of global digital giants like Google and Facebook is glaring. In China, the internet is less of a global platform and more of a national intranet. What if your basic human rights were not guaranteed? Imagine living in a society where your voice is muffled, where dissent is discouraged, where minority groups face persecution. This is the dark reality of human rights issues in China. Dissidents find themselves facing harsh penalties, while minority groups navigate a life marked by repression and discrimination. These issues are not just headlines, but lived experiences for many in China. In China, the fight for human rights continues against seemingly insurmountable odds.